Hello, my friend. I'm glad you've returned. Before we begin, take a slow breath in and let it go gently. Feel how the air moves through you, a quiet reminder that you are here, alive and enough. This is your time, your small pause in the rhythm of the world. Today's question is one that touches something tender in many of us. Why do we sometimes feel more connected to strangers than to the people we see every day? It happens in ways we rarely expect. You're on a train, sitting beside someone you'll never meet again, and suddenly a conversation flows with an ease you haven't felt in years. Or you're standing in a queue or sharing a moment of laughter with a barista, and for a few seconds you feel seen, not as a role or a responsibility, but simply as yourself. And when you walk away, there's a strange warmth in your chest. You think, why did that feel so real when so many of my real connections feel distant? The answer, I think, begins with freedom. When we speak to a stranger, there's no history to manage, no expectation to meet. We are not burdened by who we've been before. We can show a slice of ourselves, the truth of that exact moment, without worrying about how it fits into anyone's idea of us. It's connection without consequence. And sometimes that freedom lets honesty surface in ways it can't with those who know us too well. Let me tell you a story. A man I once met during a long train journey told me something he hadn't told his own family, that he was planning to leave his job and start over in another city. He said, "It feels easier to tell you because you don't know the version of me everyone else expects." He wasn't afraid of being judged. He was afraid of being known in the old way when he was already changing. That's what strangers give us sometimes, a blank page on which we can write the truer version of ourselves. It's not that we love strangers more. It's that with them we are allowed to drop the performance of continuity. We don't have to be consistent. We can simply be honest. And honesty, even brief, creates intimacy. With the people closest to us, love is layered with memory, shared history, habits, small hurts, expectations. These things give relationships depth, but they also create weight. You might hesitate to speak freely because you know how your words will land. You might censor yourself out of care or fear, or the quiet exhaustion of being misunderstood. So you stay polite, predictable, and sometimes that distance grows between you and the people you call home. There's a paradox in closeness. The more someone matters, the more careful we become. We edit our truth to protect the relationship, forgetting that the relationship itself depends on truth. Sometimes the lightness of connection with a stranger comes from the very fact that it's temporary. Because it will end, we allow ourselves to be real. We risk more when there's nothing to lose. It's a brief, passing honesty, but it reminds us what honesty feels like. Let me share another story. A woman once told me she was crying quietly on a park bench after a fight with her partner. An older man walking his dog noticed her, paused, and simply said, "It gets easier." He didn't ask for details, didn't pry, just said it with a kind smile and walked on. She said it meant more to her than the words of her friends because it came without expectation. There was no need to explain or perform. For one small moment, she felt connected, human to human, without any of the noise that usually surrounds love. These moments with strangers are like small windows, reminders that connection doesn't always come from shared history. Sometimes it comes from shared presence. And presence is often easier with those who don't carry our past. But if we look deeper, maybe these encounters aren't random. Maybe they're showing us something about what we're missing in our daily lives. They reveal our hunger to be seen, to be listened to be met without filters. When a stranger gives us that, it feels profound because we've forgotten how to receive it elsewhere. It's worth asking, what would it look like to bring that kind of presence into our closer relationships? To meet the people we love with the same open curiosity we give to a stranger, to stop assuming we already know them or that they already know us. Sometimes we stop truly seeing the people we see every day. Familiarity can dull our attention. We begin to see patterns, not people, habits, not hearts. But people change quietly every day. And when we stop noticing, connection starts to fade. Not because love disappears, but because we forget to look. I once knew a couple who had been married for 40 years. They told me the secret wasn't in staying the same, but in meeting each other again and again. Every few years they would sit down and ask, "Who are you now?" No assumptions, no roles, just curiosity. That, they said, kept their love alive by making room for the stranger that time had turned each of them into. We all carry versions of ourselves that few people see. Our closest ones might know our stories, but not always our current feelings. We change faster than most relationships can update. And so, sometimes, it takes a stranger, someone who sees us without history, to mirror back the truth of who we are now. But that doesn't mean the closeness we have with others is less valuable. It just means we can learn from these brief encounters. The way you felt understood by a stranger, that ease, that softness, that can exist at home too. It simply needs space to breathe. It needs the same things a stranger gives us: attention, curiosity, and a lack of judgment. There's something sacred about realizing that connection doesn't belong to one type of relationship. It can happen anywhere, across a lifetime, or across a glance. And maybe, instead of mourning the fact that strangers sometimes see us more clearly, we can take it as a reminder. We are all capable of seeing and being seen if we slow down enough to notice. So, the next time you feel that sudden warmth after a conversation with someone you'll never meet again, don't dismiss it. It's not shallow or fleeting. It's proof of how alive connection can be when we stop guarding it. And maybe it's also an invitation to bring that same openness into the familiar rooms of your life. You can start small. When you talk with someone close to you, pretend you're meeting them for the first time. Ask a question you've never asked. Listen like you don't already know the answer. See what happens. Because beneath all our roles, friend, partner, parent, colleague, we're all strangers still learning each other. And in that learning, real connection lives. We feel close to strangers sometimes because, for a moment, we remember what it feels like to see and be seen without armor. But the truth is, we don't have to wait for chance encounters to feel that way. We can live like that, with more attention, more curiosity, more gentleness, right where we are. Thank you for being here, for giving yourself this moment to reflect. Stay gentle, stay curious, and stay kind. And if this question spoke to you, continue your journey with us on Yarven's Questions. More stories, more reflections, and more quiet truths are waiting for you. Take care, my friend. Until next time.